have an artist come down, and great story. Uh, we did a concert at Pier 11 one time,
Mhm.
and Shannon let the music play,
Yep.
right? Shannon comes up, and it was her first time. She's a Brooklyn girl, Shannon. You know that, right?
Yep. I think it's she comes from East New York area,
Right,
right?
right.
Yeah.
So she goes out on stage, and her track was on a reel to reel. The the DJ at the engineer at the disco mobile that we had puts the reel to
Let me
reel
go to
on.
Disco Mobile. That's the Disco Mobile, guys.
Right. He hits the button, and the tape gets jammed up in the player. Now her track is destroyed. She has no track. She wound up doing 2 songs a cappella,
Let me show her.
and there she is.
There
She
she
wound up doing
is.
2
Got it.
shows a cappella, and she blew the audience apart. And ever since then, every time we see each other, we talk about that day, because that was literally her first time that she was out in front of people. And still today we play that song on that's a power song on CBS FM.
Oh yeah.
Shannon's one of the rarities that song is still a power song all over the country, really. She's a sweetheart of a lady, and she's another one in her mid-60s, maybe early 60s,
Yeah, right. I figured
and
that.
you
She's got.
don't see that on stage. She's jumping around like a crazy person. She really does a great job.
Well, you've been blessed. Look at the people you've been around. KC from KC and Sunshine Band.
Uh-huh. He's performing right now with the B-52s. Touring with them right now.
Look at this. Lionel Richie from the Motown era.
No, that's Smokey
I'm
Robinson.
sorry. Excuse me.
That's
Oops.
Smoke
Oh, I made a
Smokey
mistake.
Robinson.
Smokey and the Miracles. I'm sorry. Let me say again. Smokey Robinson.
There you go. There you
There you
go.
go. Sorry. Let me see
Smokey's
this.
yeah,
No, I was looking at the next picture.
there's
For
Lionel.
your wife?
And that guy is probably one of the nicest guys you ever wanted to meet.
And who's this here?
That's
Oh,
Donald
Trump.
Trump with
Yep.
my buddy Goomba Johnny at KTU.
Moomba Johnny. Where is he?
Yeah.
He's on
He's
Z100.
doing he's doing a lot of comedy right now. He really dove 1, 2, 3 into comedy, and he's
Oh,
doing very well.
Joe, this is what I want to ask you. There's this Joe,
Right.
and then the Joe that lost a hell of a lot of weight.
Yeah. That's huge Joe.
Yeah, well, that's the Joe in between
Yeah.
disco and
That's Joe the size. See the Hawaiian shirt?
yeah.
That's me the size of Hawaii in it.
But what kind of diet that you went on? Because I remember you lost a tremendous amount of weight.
Well,
What did you?
I had surgery done. I had a lap band
Oh, you
surgery.
did? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I don't care. I'll say it. And not nothing to be proud about. And I had it done, and it works. It really does work. It's a learning process, you know. And I have my ups and downs. Sometimes I gain a little, and I got to go back, and I got to rethink and re-energize and lose weight. It's like I consider being heavy was a vice. Everybody has one. If you're gambling, drinking, cheating, everybody has a vice. Food was my vice, and being Italian didn't help either. I mean, you have a
Macaroni.
wedding, you got to eat like you're going to the
Macaroni.
electric chair. You go to a funeral, you got to eat like after the funeral, like you're going to the electric chair. Uh, you had to eat, and it was instilled in you ever since a young age, and it caught up to you, and that was my vice. But thank God, I try to trim it away a little bit every day.
Oh, somebody's asking a question.
We
From
got
our
questions.
yeah, somebody's asking a question. They said a question for Mr. Causi. We all know the power and influence that a radio station had back then. How important influential was being a radio jock? And was there a riff amongst the KTU jocks?
Uh, not really. We all basically got along. We all basically got along. I just dropped my other microphone on the floor. Uh, you know, um, ego is ego, and when you're on, a lot of the radio guys have tremendous egos, and you try to keep it into perspective. And like with me, I was a new kid on the block, so every day for me was a learning curve. So I try to learn every day, did try to step on any shoes. And I guess after 42 years, me being on the air, I think I learned, because the majority of people that I worked with at some of the other radio stations haven't worked in many, many years. And for me to do it 42 years and still doing it today, I think I was pretty good at what I did.
Yeah, you're very good. You
Yeah,
kidding me?
yeah,
You're a class act.
yeah.
You sound like Frankie Crock. I mean, look, I gotta think. I'm gonna
I
speak on.
wish I had hair like Frankie
Oh,
Crocker.
oh my god,
That guy was a legend.
that's a true legend.
Legend.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. Frankie Crocker has the #1 radio station in New York, and he's iconic, like kind of like you became later
Mhm.
on as KTU became. So for a while, from the '60s into the '70s, Frankie would walk into Studio 54, any club, and he was
Yeah,
working. Okay,
right?
and program director, and has the one of the probably the highest drive time shows in history at that time, '70s
Yeah.
and '80s.
Mhm.
KTU comes on, Frankie's ego's got to be crushed
Mhm.
because he's selecting fantastic music and he's putting together. Did you guys riff with Frankie? Did you ever deal with him? Did he ever try to
I
come and
I
take
just
you guys?
I met him once, I think once, and we were doing a club appearance. Briefly said hello, and then that was it. But that's the part of the business. It's the same thing like in the movie industry. I mean, actors that you saw in the '80s doing movies, one after the next. The Raiders of the Lost Ark, blah, blah, and today nothing. You know what I'm trying to say? Actors like all these gangster actors who had movie after movie after movie, and now you don't see them at all. That was their time, and now it's time for somebody else to move in. And this is how it's going to be down the line. And the same thing in radio. My day is going to come where it's time to say, "That's it. I've had enough."
There
You
I
know,
go, there I go,
there I
there.
go. There I go again.
Oh.
Yeah,
Baby on the
that was his clothing
that's his
song.
closing song, right?
My closing song was his Love's Theme
Right.
by the Love Unlimited Orchestra, and I've been playing that. I
And
can't even
one
tell you
record I know that you always play, and I would always hear you say, "When the fuel runs out." It's
love that
oh,
song. Great
Executive Suite. Mamma mia, great.
executive suite. And
Yes.
you hear that when you hear that stuff today, I mean, it's great music, but if you let a 17 or an 18-year-old, even a 20-year-old hear that song today, they can't even fathom that a song like that used to be played on the air because it sounds so old to them. But for us, it was such great stuff. I mean, so arranged perfectly, that music.
Well, this is where I'm going to segue for something that you can help us understand. I asked Earl Young from the Tramps. When you guys were starting out the Tramps,
Mhm.
we felt that it was a doo-wop mentality.
Well, they started doing that
Yeah,
was the
right.
original.
But when
Yeah,
we were growing up, we didn't put the 2 plus 2 together,
right,
to think, um, you being older than I am,
right.
you remember that music, of course.
Mhm.
A lot of those groups, Motown and the disco sound, Hal Melvin and his Blue Notes, all
Right.
those your Phillies.
They all came from doo-wop groups,
So
all of them.
that goes to the next part. Back in the doo-wop era, you danced with a woman. You
Right.
danced. You didn't not hustling. You actually physically danced.
Mhm.
That was what went on in the clubs in the '70s, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
A matter of fact, the Tramps' first hit, "Zing with the Strings of My Heart," was originally done as a doo-wop song. You know that?
No, I didn't know. I didn't know that. I didn't know
That
if they
was
did.
original doo-wop song, back in the early '50s when that song came out. Give you another great Tramp story. This is a great I love the Tramps. I
What
lived
I know
and
you do.
breathed the Tramps, right? It was 1977, maybe '78, could have been. Went to see the Tramps. I seen them at Camelot Inn back in the day, Speakeasy out in Island Park,
Right.
Long Island. And I walk out and I'm standing right in the front there. Wasn't even in radio back then. Uh, and I'm watching the Tramps and they filled the stage. I mean, I think there was like 17 people to the group back then between all their horns and brass and all that. Unbelievable sound. No tracks, nothing was recorded. Everything was alive. And when I was standing there in the front in amazement, watching Jimmy Ellis and Earl Young right in front of my face, and there was a part of the show when they always do, they'd ask somebody to come up and sing with them on stage. And all my friends says, "You gotta go, you gotta go." So I go up on stage and I sang Body Contact Contract.
You sang that?
And I sang that with Earl Young. Earl Young turns around and looks.
Uh oh. Hang on. We'll bring Joe back. Unbelievable. I don't know. Joe must have hit the hopefully he gets the thing back. Man, let's see. I know some of you are asking, oh, Joe's back. Hang on. Wait, Joe.
I'm back now.
Joe, we lost it. Okay, so
So I
Earl
go on stage and I sing that song with him, and I'm doing the on the dotted line. I'm doing that part with him,
you're
right?
doing that one?
Yeah. And he's looking at me like, holy crap, this guy is lower than me. And still today, we goof about it whenever I do shows with him. And I'm always doing the bass parts with him. And I said, that was probably one of the my most thrilling part of my life, singing with the Tramps.
Now, mind you, this was all new.
Yeah.
Disco was new,
Yeah.
you know, and that time, 72 to 75, by 76, they were saying disco was finished already.
Yeah. They were.
You hear
I
what
mean,
I'm saying, Joe? That's what they said. And didn't say
yeah.
it was over.
Imagine walking to a club and seeing groups like the Crown Heights Affair. I mean, these guys were unbelievable. The sound that came out of the stage, and these were live groups. I mean, groups like the BT Express, uh, Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. I mean, what still today, when I do something with the Blue Notes, I can't help it. I'll stand on the side of the stage and I'll grab a stool. And I mean, I know every one of their songs inside and out. I know their routines. I know what they're going to say, but I still stand there in amazement and I take it all in because I love that sound. I love that Philly sound.
So, yeah, it is. But I have only one problem with Harold Melvin and his Blue Nose.
Harold Melvin's not around.
That that's one. And the
Yeah.
voice of Teddy Pendergrass, as
Right.
good as the guy, I don't know this guy's name that does it, the lead guy.
Yeah.
Teddy's voice, no one sounds like Teddy, no matter
No,
how.
no, no. That's why he went out on his own. And that was probably one of the greatest albums ever. His solo album.
The one with the cowboy with the thing.
With the white jacket, with the scarf. That's Only You, and, I Don't
Only
Love You
You.
Anymore. That's, forget it. That music's been sampled so many times on so many Sunshine mixes. I don't know, right? Am I right or wrong?
What do you mean? It still is.
Still is. Still is.
It goes to show you how when greatness happens, it stands a true test
Right.
of time.
One disappointment I have,
Go ahead.
out of all the artists that I've met and all the artists that I've been with, and I've been with everybody. I'm looking at my wall, the Hughes Corporation. I got pictures with Carl Carlton and Gonzalez, Corey Day, France Jolie. The only person that I've never, ever been with and seen live was Barry White. And that had to be an incredible, imagine seeing Barry White. I mean, when he died, I mean, that was such a loss.
Oh, you're
He
telling me.
still would have been playing today.
Oh, 100%.
He still would have been playing today.
Now, and talk about hair too. His hair in the 70s was wow. That big
Yeah, he had that Billy Dee Williams look going,
Woo! Somebody asked me, Tony Rivera asked about a question. He says, what was your catchphrase that you used to say, like Paco and Roscoe on when you were on KTU, that catchphrase?
Ooh, what was the
You remember?
catchphrase? Oh, well, Roscoe used to say, "I love you so."
I
Well,
love
I was that, hey, forget about it. My whole thing was forget about it, and
forget about it.
I laid on that Brooklyn thing really big, and that's what New Yorkers loved back then. They loved that whole New York sound, and I guess that whole forget about it thing. Yeah.
You still do it.
Hey, forget about it.
Forget about it.
Sometimes it just means forget about it.
Somebody also asked, whatever happened to Al Bandero?
He went into the movie end. He's doing a couple of things. I was with him about 6 months ago in Jersey at an event, and he's still out there. He's not doing radio, but he is on the movie end. He's producing stuff and doing some pictures.
Which
like that.
now segues to the question, we saw a picture of you behind the bars.
Hmm. Oh, I did a.
So tell
I
us
don't know
about what you're doing, what
There
you've been.
there's a TV show on Amazon Prime right now called, Gravesend, and it's basically about Bensoners back in the day, Gravesend Bensoners, and the whole show takes place in the '80s. There's a lot of disco music in it. If you watch the first episode from last season, I'm the first person you hear coming out of a 1982 Eldorado, and they took the original tracks, the original broadcast from Disco '92.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, you've gotta check it out. It's pretty cool. So they asked me to come in and, to play a mob captain. I don't know why. I'm not like that at all. I'm more of a I don't I'm surprised they didn't ask me to do like an Amish character or something like that. But
Oh, come on,
but
come
they
on,
want
you're
me to play
back into the
a
golf.
mob guy,
Come on.
and, it was filmed at the Arthur Kill Correctional out in Staten Island, and, we filmed it with William DeMeo and Al Socelli, and we had to play that whole mob routine thing down. We had a meeting out in the prison. We were prison guys. We were locked up, and that's going to air probably. I think this coming fall, you'll see it on Amazon Prime.
So,
But I like doing stuff like that. Yeah,
so the Amazon Prime, the show. Say one more time what the show was. So everybody.
Gravesend.
Gravesend,
Gravesend. Yeah.
Brooklyn, Gravesend,
A lot
Amazon.
of local people, a lot of Brooklyn people's in it. You'll when you watch it, if you're from the area and from New York, you'll hear a lot of your memory will click back because we mention a lot of stuff from back in the day, a lot of the old clubs, uh, a lot of the old feast, Brooklyn feast, and you'll see it. I mean, the cards in this show are going to blow you away. I mean, if you love all that old Cadillac
I had
and
a 79.
Buick days, Monte Carlos, they're all in this show. You're really going to enjoy it. It's good stuff.
So now,
Yeah.
here's the thing. Now, I don't know if you heard about this, but Ralphie a few years ago, this before COVID, had Ralphie D from Aussie 2001
Right.
calls me and says, "Listen," he says to me, "Hey, there's this guy coming in from Italy, and he wants to recreate Odyssey 2001."
Uh,
In the Chinese place, it became the Chinese, spot in Bay Ridge.
right.
And they want to reenact the whole 2001, the 45th anniversary, 77. Yeah, it's 45 years.
Hmm.
And of course, this is where you come in. Okay. Welcoming John Travolta and that whole thing, because it was a big thing again, bringing him back to
Well,
Brooklyn.
this was a part of like William DeMeo was a part of Gravesend. He played Sammy the Bull in the Gotti movie,
Right.
and he and me put this whole. I publicized it a lot on the radio to get all those people out there, and
Oh, I know.
we had over 10,000 people under the L that day, and it was unbelievable. It was an unbelievable time, and if you remember back in the '80s, in the early '80s, we did the same thing under the L called Midnight Madness with Danny Pucciarelli and all those guys. And we turned 86th Street into an outdoor disco. We had
Heavy,
a 10-foot, yeah, heavy custom.
custom sound, right? In front of
Yeah.
heavy custom sound, right?
We had a 10-foot disco ball hanging from the train tracks.
Who the hell put the disco ball?
I don't know who did that, but
I want to know how they got that up there.
yeah, I want to know how they got away with it.
Yeah, because
And-
you imagine doing that now, they shut you right down.
I'll shut you right down. And it was incredible. It was still today. People talk about that day. They said, "Oh, we'd love to do it, but you can't. You can't do it anymore. The neighborhood changed, and you can't do that again." Not that the neighborhood's bad. It's just changed. The people aren't. That crew isn't there anymore.
Right, they were all in Staten Island.
Yeah, well, I go like this. You leave Brooklyn, you go to Staten Island, then you go to Manalapan, New Jersey,
Right.
then you go to witness protection. That's how it works. That's how it is. You wind up in Arizona and you're using ketchup instead of tomato sauce.
Well, now it's a little different. Back then, you couldn't get tomato sauce. Now you can get Hunt's in Arizona,
Yeah, I know. Crazy.
Okay, so Joe, everybody says this to me. I've been in Italy, and you talk about sauce. And I know you do Sundays at your house and the family because I know you mentioned this on the radio and everything.
Mhm.
You put meat in the sauce there. Some people say it's gravy. You know, meat in the sauce, now it's sauce. Is it really sauce or is it gravy?
I call it gravy. I've
Why?
always
It's
called it. I don't
impossible.
know.
It's
It's a thing.
impossible.
Did you make the gravy? What time did you put the gravy on? Don't forget to put the gravy on. Keep it low. Don't burn the gravy. It's been known as gravy as long as I can remember.
But you ask the Italians in Italy, they go, that's only in America. They
Yeah,
don't know what we're talking about. They're like, no. You
yeah.
put
I think it's a New York thing, really. I think it's a New York thing, gravy. Yeah, it's as long as I can remember. I know it's gravy.
wow.
Yeah.
But here's the thing now that I'll leave you one few really important. How important is it to you today to be out at these clubs? You still have that same feeling? I know you're married, you got the
Uh
kids,
huh.
all that stuff. But I mean,
Hmm.
you still have that same affection you had back then to want to go out and
Uh,
MC and do that, or is it more like
I get excited when I get out there, and I do that. When you see people, like we just did this the St. George Theater a couple of weeks ago with France Jolie and Tavares and that whole crew. And when you see people that you would see in clubs back in the 80s that you knew, like I look out in the audience and I see so many people I know, and I knew them when they were in their 19, 20 years old, and now they're 45, 50 years old, and they're up still out there cheering, dancing, smiling, looking at France Jolie and Tabaras and hugging their wives who are then their girlfriends. It makes you feel good because you're bringing something to these people. You're taking them back for a couple of hours to when they didn't have a care in the world, when they didn't have any mortgage payments, when they
yeah,
didn't have any car leases, you know, before they had their kids and
they work
college
the kids.
payments.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
don't work any of that stuff. You want
Right,
to
when their mother did their laundry for them
yeah.
and they slept till 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It was a great time for them. So if I can bring that to these people every once in a while, on the stage, in clubs, at events, I'll do it as long as I can, you know? And I'll leave you with that.
We don't want you to go. We want you to
Okay,
stay
good.
with us.
All right. Okay.
We don't want you to go. No, what I'm saying is we want you to stay on the radio because we're used to hearing it's like there's like comfort food,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
You hear certain things, it's part of the landscape of what made New York, New York.
Mhm.
A
Mhm.
lot of our peers are no longer with us. I mean, poor Paco, and look how it ended for him. He
Mhm.
got wrapped up with the whole, even went to jail.
Yeah, yeah,
Drug
yeah.
cost, poor
Mhm.
thing. I mean,
Well, he had the wrong lawyer, you know what I mean?
yeah, he didn't pay the right lawyers,
I'm
right?
only kidding.
He didn't pay. He did time for that bad mistake. He paid for
Yeah,
that.
I mean, Roscoe passed away, at a young age. Um, you know, people get old and we do stupid things sometimes. And, that's why you try to fly right, fly straight, keep under the radar, you know?
You know what Hassa is?
Exactly. You
You know
know
what
exactly
Hassa
what
is?
I mean.
You know
Keep
what
under the
Hassa?
radar.
Jake doesn't fly straight.
Keep under the radar.
So 101 is where we can find you.
That's right. Every night, Monday through Saturday, 7 to midnight on CBS FM 101.1. That's my brand new headshot. What a difference from 1980, huh?
Let's go back to 1980. Let's look at him back then.
But
Actually, I didn't know this
I
picture.
love,
The dancer from Saturday Night Fever.
yeah, Karen Lynn Gordon.
Yep.
Karen Lynn Gordon. Great,
What
great,
year
great.
would you say this is, Joe?
That was 1980.
Wow.
1980. With
Joe,
the Christ head and the Latigra shirt on. Look at that.
if you can do it differently, would you have changed anything?
Yes, I would have. I wish I had more of some like a mentor back then. I had nobody to rely on back then. I didn't know the ins and outs. Like today, you know, you could find out more before getting into something. And I was just so excited to get into radio. I didn't have, I knew no one in the business, and I wish I had. It was more of a learning day by day then. You know what I'm trying to say?
But Joe, look what happens. Like you said, you went to Minnesota,
Mhm.
went to Jersey,
Yeah,
and then this happens.
right.
You're on the number one disco station in the nation.
That picture's from Studio 54.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I was saying is Disco 92 is the banner of where do you go from there? Think about it. You're at the top.
yeah,
So
yeah,
who do you go to? We're looking at you like our demigods.
yeah.
You are in the position of holy, you're next to Rock Hudson in a sense, like, that level, Hollywood
Mm,
and radio. You went from who's Joe Corsi, neighborhood guy, to number one Joe Corsi on best disco station in the nation. And
for
then,
sure.
you
You
know,
know,
I,
it's funny, people say in radio there's 2 places you wanna work, either LA or New York,
right.
and I'm lucky enough to be in New York for 42 years and still there. So, I thank everybody out there for keeping me here.
The voice of our youth for sure, Joe. As
Thank
Tony
you, buddy.
says, the voice of our youth, an
Thank you, pal.
icon, a legend, 101 FM, Joe Corsi.
Thank you.
Don't ever stop. Thank you for and you know how hard it was to get to me and Joe to get him to do this show?
I know, we've this has been in the works for a while.
I went to Glenn Chicheri to ask him to send you a message, but then I saw you at Ralphie's do and I can't thank you enough.
Glenn's a good guy, yeah.
And I want to thank you as well for I was blessed to play on the classic showcase with Joe doing
Mhm.
the emceeing, and I was able to do the master mixes along with the other guys. And I'll tell you, for us as DJs, to hear your voice introduce us is incredible.
Thank you,
I
buddy.
know that. I know that every DJ feels the same, especially New York jocks. Number one in my book, Joe.
Thank you, pal.
So on that note, Joe, thank you. And and the last question. You're right now working in your own spot, right? In your own office, right? In your
Right,
own
right.
okay. So people have been asking about going back to the offices. Is there any talk about you going behind the glass box again in New York
Oh,
radio?
yeah, 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 it's gonna be happening. We just, they're taking a step and now COVID, they say, is coming back a little bit, so there's always a delay. There's always a delay. There's always something happening, you know? But as soon as they want us to go back, I'm there, I don't mind.
You didn't get
This is
sick with it, did you? Did you get sick of it?
I had it, yeah.
You did.
Yeah, I had it, but I beat it, I beat it. I just had a little cough. Other than that, it was, yeah.
You like
Just
the clap, we applaud it.
yeah,
Like
yeah, I know.
he said, he's got the clap, so we applaud it with some
Yeah, 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 right?
Joe.
All right, buddy.
Thank you so much. And
You
that
got it.
is it for True House Stories with Joe Corsi. Next week, Joe, don't leave yet. DJ Mehmet from Brazil is coming on to tell
Ooh,
us his remix and DJ life down there and traveling the world. I'm Lenny Fontana from True House Stories. And don't forget, Fridays on Twitch, we go 2 o'clock on Twitch, Lenny Fontana Official. And thanks again, Joe Corsi.
you
Joe, can
got it,
you
Lenny.
start us off, Joe, like you normally do?
Have a great night, buddy.
Thank
Remember,
you.
whatever you do, have fun. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao, everybody. And that's the best. Good night, everybody. Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye
Hold
bye.
on, Joe.